Hello, and welcome to At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Oftentimes, people hear the word leader and they think only of political leaders, but leaders come in many forms, and that's worth exploring. I'm Jim Hoyer, born and raised in West Virginia, a husband, a father, a new grandfather, and a retired military leader, serving for over 40 years in public leadership for our state and nation. Now, the most important mission I have going forward is to educate, motivate, and empower our next generation of leaders. At the leadership table with me today is Brian Dayton. Brian is Vice President of Policy and Advocacy for the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce, where he leads the organization's government relations efforts and works closely with members and policy committees to advance the needs of West Virginia's employer community. I've known Brian for a long time. He is a great advocate for West Virginia, for building the next generation economy in West Virginia and creating opportunities for all of West Virginians, and particularly that next generation of young leaders and young families coming up. So, Brian, it's great to have you on at the leadership table today, and I thank you for your advocacy for West Virginia, for businesses, families, and our future economic opportunities.
Well, General, thank you so much, and it's an absolute pleasure to be on with you. I know we've discussed this for quite a while, and it's really exciting that we're able to be here together to talk about some issues to move West Virginia forward.
Absolutely. So, Brian, I'm going to start out by asking you the same first question we ask all of our guests. Please share with us a standout moment when you learned something really important about leadership.
Sure. So, a lifetime ago, I worked at a company called Teletech in Moundsville, and so anyone who's from the Northern Panhandle would be familiar. But we were an inbound customer service center for a cable company. And I was in college, just come out of college, looking for a job. That was during the kind of economic recession at that time. But I had the opportunity to fairly fast advance to a supervisor. And so here I am, 23 years old, leading a team of 20 individuals. And what I found very, very fast in that role was that if you want to be successful, you have to listen to people. You have to understand, pay attention to their ideas. What do they think are some of the things that can help a team grow, help move things forward? And I learned very fast that at 23, you think you have all the answers. You do not. And so you got to listen to the people you surround yourself with, hear them out, and keep an open mind, because frequently you're going to find out that there may be a much better way to do it. And talking with everybody, bringing everyone together, is always going to produce a much better outcome than trying to just charge ahead, go it alone, and you have the best idea.
Yeah, and that's a great example for our listeners, and particularly our younger listeners, from a leadership standpoint. So, Brian, you joined the chamber in 2012, but give our listeners a little bit about your background and your journey to get to where you are today.
Sure. So, I'm a native of Moundsville, West Virginia. And so I grew up there, and then ended up going to WVU for college. One of the things I think that really helped me was I was the summer after my senior year of high school, and everybody has to go get a job. And the Moundsville Penitentiary was hiring tour guides. And so I went and I applied and I became a tour guide at the old West Virginia State Penitentiary. And so I really learned public speaking because, it was interesting. One moment you could have a bus full of Amish people that had just come over for a tour. And then your very next tour, you have a biker gang that just came in. And then the next tour, sometimes you had a former inmate come in. And so it was a really neat experience to see people from just all walks of life come in. But then I had the opportunity to talk to them and take them through 90 minutes. So I got very comfortable very early on talking with people, talking with a large audience, just because that was something right there. So I went to WVU. After I completed WVU, I went to work for Beth Walker's 2008 campaign for the Supreme Court. She came up a little short on that race, and then obviously she was elected 8 years later in 2016, and was an absolutely fantastic justice until she retired just a couple of years ago. But worked there, and then after that was when I went to Teletech for a while. Well, let me just tell you, if you ever do customer service, inbound calls for a cable company, you will be inspired to further your education. And so I went back to WVU, got my master's of public administration, and found my way to the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce in 2012. So I started here on June 1st of 2012, so almost 14 years. Moved out to Hurricane, and there was a girl that I had known for years through a church camp, actually through a friend. And I called her up, said, "Let's go get dinner." She was like, "I've got to study." I'm like, "Well, you have to eat." And we're now married. We have two children. We've been married over 11 years, and we still live in Hurricane. And in 2019, our vice president at the time, John Canfield, went to work for a company called Unicare. And so at that point, I had the opportunity to move into this position and go from really a communications role into the vice president, policy and advocacy, the head lobbying role, and do that. And so I've been doing that since that time and love every minute of it.
So you've had the opportunity from the ground up to a leadership position. So tell our listeners a little bit about the core mission of the chamber, and then I want to talk about a couple of really key issues I think that face West Virginia businesses and employers and employees right now.
Sure. So, really, the core mission, I would say, is to make West Virginia a better place to live, work, and raise a family. And in doing so, it's to have a better quality of life in West Virginia for all of our citizens. It's to bring more jobs and opportunity to this state. What we want is people to be able to find great employment in West Virginia, but then also their children and their grandchildren to have that same opportunity and be able to have a life here in West Virginia. Good health care is absolutely important for the health of our state. Strong education outcomes, that is everything for making sure that the students of today who are going to be the workforce of tomorrow are as well prepared as they can be. And so that's really a high level, but those are just all the things that really kind of make up that core mission of the West Virginia Chamber.
And Brian, one of the things that you and I have been working on with several others together, while we want to continue to grow and expand businesses in the state, and I use all the time the example of growing up in the Kanawha Valley in the 60s, 70s, and
Mhm.
early 80s. It was a robust economy there, and with from the uh, Union Carbide Research and Development Center to the chemical industry to a lot of other things. But one of the things that you and I have been working on recently is we have a number of businesses in this state right now that need to fill good, high paying jobs. So, talk a little bit about the importance of keeping the talent that we have, our next generation of West Virginia employees, but also recruiting back to the state those that have left by letting them know what opportunities currently exist in West Virginia businesses.
Absolutely. General, that's the issue we hear more than anything from our employers right now is attracting and retaining workforce. So it's really the core of our mission. And, I know that's a core topic being discussed at the legislature right now. We're very happy to see that there's been a lot of focus on how do we address this problem. Just as a quick point of reference, we are the last in the country when it comes to workforce participation rate. So every state has a higher rate than we do. One of the big things, and it's a multifaceted problem, but one of the really big things that we see here is that childcare, or the lack of childcare and the affordability issue of childcare, is making it for so many people that they don't have the choice to go to work. There's actually news that just broke here in Charleston. We lost another daycare center yesterday. The news broke that another facility is shutting down. So we've been really paying attention to that issue. How can we fix childcare and make it A, more available for families that need it, but also B, more affordable? And so I want to tell you about a program that's been going on that we're very excited about, and we're pushing to make it statewide. The Appalachian Regional Commission provided a grant to run what's called TriShare in West Virginia, and it's a pilot program in 8 counties, and it's going tremendously well for as early as this is. But essentially, under the plan, the employer pays a third of the child care costs, the employee pays a third of the child care costs, and then the state picks up that remaining third, in this case, the Appalachian Regional Commission. And we've seen some real excitement around that and businesses signing up and saying, this is something that can help us. And so we're pushing to make this a statewide opportunity. Just to go ahead and help people understand that, the average cost is $800 per child per month. If my wife and I, we looked at it, she's a respiratory therapist. We have 2 children. If we could find childcare, and that was going to be the big if, but if we could find it and we looked at the costs, we figured out she was going to make less than minimum wage to send the kids to childcare. Well, what decision do you think we made as a family? She's a stay-at-home
Absolutely.
mom now.
Right.
And we're just one example of thousands that are doing that. So that is a really big issue. So we're coming at the childcare problem on a number of fronts. But then we're also looking at, how do we better connect people who, for example, who have gone on unemployment? How do we better connect them with existing jobs that are available? Because there's a lot of work that can be done there to make sure that if you've lost a job and you end up going on unemployment, we're as a state, we need to be doing a much better job to make sure that individual knows, hey, here are the opportunities that are in your county. But here are the opportunities that might be a 15, 20-minute drive away. Here are the different positions you can go and fill. I think we're missing a lot of opportunities right there to better connect people. And then the other challenge we have is once those people have been on unemployment for 6 months, they're off. It's 26 weeks. Well, what are we doing to follow up with those people? They've now left the workforce technically. What are we doing to make sure they understand, hey, there are opportunities out here, and how do we better connect them?
Yeah, and I think the really important thing for our listeners is you all in the chamber are advocating for government to provide solutions, and sometimes I think we get too focused on, well, this is just a cultural thing that people just don't want to go to work. And that's not what we're finding in West Virginia. We're finding that we've got to get government solutions to the barriers that are keeping people from getting back in the workforce. Sometimes that's workforce training, sometimes that's childcare. And we've got to do a better job of recruiting people back home. And we also know that we have this kind of dislocation situation where we have jobs in other parts of the state that we need to get people to the opportunity to be able to get housing to move to those jobs so that they can stay within the borders of our state going forward.
Yes, and and I think we are firm believers that their private solutions can solve a lot of problems. But the one reality that we have, and it comes especially healthcare, it's in childcare. There is a lot of government linkage that already exists with those facilities. So, for example, in a childcare provider, most providers have a very large percentage of children there that are on state subsidy. And there have been a number of issues with that. So it really does come to a situation where, yes, we've said to the legislature, these are issues that, do need to be addressed. And there are solutions that can be had here. Sometimes it's tax credits that incentivize businesses to do it. Other times it's, hey, we need to figure out a way to get skin in the game and put some money towards a problem. The other thing we
Mhm.
also are firm believers, if you want to make money, sometimes you have to spend money. And that is the case on economic development. It's the case on childcare, on workforce. And so we've really been, trying to go help educate that sometimes we do have to put some resources towards these problems to solve them so that then we're able to attract those bigger companies here that are going to provide more jobs and really get the economic engine churning.
And you guys have been working with folks coming into the state like Nucor
Yes.
on these very problems. How do we retrain a workforce? How do we create childcare incentives?
Absolutely, absolutely. And and those companies are so important because what we do know is Nucor out in Mason County is going to be a very large facility. And that was a big investment West Virginia made to attract Nucor to West Virginia. But we're also very excited about are all of the support industries that are now going to flow into this region because Nucor is there, because they're going to be vendors for Nucor, or they're going to be helping to ship the goods, the steel that Nucor makes. All of those support services are also going to be coming in. That's why projects like Nucor were so important, and we were so excited when they made that announcement.
So, Brian, in your position, you work with a variety of professionals, business owners, employees, policymakers. So, give us a couple of examples of how you work to collaborate across a variety of different groups.
Well, it's communication. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's making sure you're communicating with everybody. And so we at the chamber, we have a really strong system of committees, subcommittees, and working groups that we use to help keep members engaged, but also that we can use to make sure that we're hearing what are their concerns, what are their issues. And we take that information and synthesize it in and come up with policy proposals that we take over to the legislature. But another really neat thing that I get to do, and this is why one of the reasons I absolutely love my job working with the chamber, is since we have members that employ over half the state's workforce in every industrial sector, we have the experts in almost every single issue that come up within our membership. And so there have been many opportunities over the years that I've gone and said, hey, here's a challenge with this particular bill and what it'll do. And sometimes legislators what we just discussed, they get an idea in their heads and they're like, this is the answer. And we've encountered that sometimes, and I've had the ability to say, why don't I put you in touch with this individual who really works in this field every single day, whether it's a lawyer that practices a certain type of human resources law, or whether it's somebody that deals with intellectual property, or somebody that deals with tax, and we can put them in direct touch. And a lot of times that makes all the difference in the world. Is that lawmaker
Right.
goes, oh. Oh, okay. I didn't appreciate that if we did this, that would cause this. And what you end up getting is a much better product in the end.
And I think the other thing that you and I have worked on together and that is important to the future of our state's economic opportunity and was important to our success in the past is our energy industry. And we've got some unique opportunities coming forward. We sit on one of the largest gas reserves
Yeah.
in not just in the country but in the world. Tell us a little bit about what's shaping around the energy industry and our growth economically in West Virginia going forward.
A lot. We really have the belief in West Virginia, or at the chamber, that West Virginia can be an energy state or it can be a poor state. And so one of the things I think, people may be surprised to find out, West Virginia is the fourth largest producer of natural gas in the country, and we sit on enormous reserves of natural gas. But let me tell you a challenge with that. We produce less gas than Pennsylvania, but we produce more gas than Ohio. Pennsylvania has these stats are just a couple years old, so it's probably more by now, but Pennsylvania has 26 combined cycle natural gas power plants in that state. Ohio has 13. We have none. Now we have a couple on the drawing board right now. I've had the opportunity to be up there for the announcement of the Harrison Power Station, but that's going to be several years away before that is up and operational. But we have no combined cycle natural gas power plants in West Virginia right now. And what we do know is that the demand for electricity is going to be enormous. Data centers are huge users of it. And, right now, you pick up your phone, you go to Google. You are using essentially a data center. I mean, it's there. If
Right.
you go to Apple Maps right now, guess what? When you see that red line pop up or that yellow line pop up, that is artificial intelligence at work that is gathering that data, tracking and seeing those phones and saying, oh, the road's holding up. That requires energy usage. So we know the demand is going to absolutely explode. And we have the gas here that can play a major role in it. We have coal-fired power plants that are absolutely critical to that baseload electricity. What we are not in favor of is doing solutions that favor one fuel source over another that can go against the free market. And we've been pretty clear on that. But we do take an all of the above energy approach. We were very much in support of repealing the ban on nuclear energy a few years ago. The development of small modular reactors, still in process. That is going to be a game changer when that technology gets there and is filled out. And I know that West Virginia is looking at how can we be a place where that research is done, where those reactors can become online and available. So that's a good bill. And then renewables. I just looked at it a second ago before we started this podcast. I looked right now, renewables are providing 10% of the electricity within PJM. That's our grid right here. So, 10% of your electricity is coming from wind, solar, hydro. That is an important part of the mix. And so we've been very much on the page of we have to have an all of the above energy approach in West Virginia because we need all of it. The other thing that's really going to drive this conversation are transmission lines. So, West Virginia, PJM has really highlighted that West Virginia is seriously under capacity for the needed transmission lines in the state. And there are several projects underway. We're not naive. Those are controversial projects. When you start running transmission lines, those can be controversial, and there's probably a right way and a wrong way to go about and how you work in the community to explain what they're going to do, where they need to be placed. But if you generate electricity, you have to have a way to transmit it. And so I think that's going to be something right there that's a big discussion point. And then I know I've been going on for a while, but the other thing I just want to mention to anybody is we have a webinar coming up on February 3rd that's going to be talking about data centers. Chris Morris with the Office of Energy is going to be talking about data centers and really the opportunities in West Virginia, but also what we're going to be seeing. So energy is a huge, huge part of West Virginia's path forward. We have a lot of it here in the state, and we need to be doing everything we can to make sure that we're utilizing it the best possible way.
And so safe to say for our listeners that part of the chamber's focus is using the energy resources we have to help grow opportunities within our borders and not just being a supplier of an energy product that goes outside of our state.
Absolutely. Using it here. And, when it comes to the natural gas, it's also very vital, not just burning it to generate electricity, but in advanced manufacturing processes. There's a lot of opportunity right there. There's probably technology on coal that is being uncovered that you can utilize it that's not just burning it in a power plant to provide electricity. We've been very supportive of the governor's 50 by 50 energy plan. So right now we produce about 16 gigawatts of electricity in West Virginia, and his goal is to get to 50 gigawatts by the year 2050. Amen. But having that generation capacity, that's an outstanding goal, and we do need to be working towards that.
Well, Brian, last question I've got for you. You've got a bugle in the background that has some historic significance. So tell our listeners about that.
So I am doing some research on my family tree right now, and I'm a novice at it, trying to go ahead and get a better understanding how to do that. But what I do know is that bugle was with one of my relatives in the Civil War. So I would love to find out more about it, but it has been passed down, and that is the background I know. That it was in the Civil War with somebody who was a relative.
Very good. So, well, Brian, I thank you for your work and your advocacy for West Virginia, for West Virginia businesses, for future generations, and creating that next generation of economic opportunities so that we can keep the young people that we've got in the state, but also bring people back home and bring new people to the state going forward. Greatly appreciate your work and advocacy and look forward to working with you on other issues going forward. And thank you for joining us at the leadership table.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, General. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Thanks for listening. This has been At the Leadership Table with retired Major General Jim Hoyer. Did you know you can now find me on social media at RMG Hoyer That's HOYER, or email me at rmgjameshoyer@gmail.com.